In this module, we are going to talk about how a leader should behave in a lean organization versus a traditional organization. A lean culture includes both continuous improvement and respect for people. That certainly means that a lean leader should behave differently than a traditional one. Let's talk about 10 ways that differentiate lean leaders from traditional leaders. Number 1. Lean leaders have a long-term view while a traditional leader is focused primarily on the short term. What does a long-term view take into consideration? The long-term satisfaction of both employees and customers. A leader with a long-term philosophy would never use traditional cost-cutting tactics like moving to lower-quality vendors to save a few pennies or having a short-term layoff to make the numbers look better for the quarter. These tactics might result in some short-term gain, but that gain would clearly be at the expense of long-term growth and success. Number 2. Lean leaders have a focus on flow. One of the 5 principles of lean, as defined by Womack and Jones, is to make value flow. How can lean leaders focus on flow? They need to change their vision. Not their eyeglass prescription, but the way they view the work. When information or products move toward the customer from the beginning, for example, a customer request, to the end, delivery of a product or service, we need to look toward flow as a key objective. How can I support my team in moving value through this process with as little delay and as little waste as possible? Number 3. Lean leaders need to focus on the big picture, optimizing the whole rather than optimizing pieces of the overall. Similar to point number 2, lean leaders should be looking at the whole flow from customer request to delivery and focus on optimizing that picture through eliminating waste. What are the obstacles preventing flow? What prevents our customers from getting our services or products sooner? Number 4. Lean leaders need to embrace and support standards. Having standardized procedures and standard work routines in place will make it much easier to improve processes. Contrary to traditional thinking that says standards limit creativity, lean thinking says that standards are the foundation of continuous improvement. When we standardize, we can identify problems faster and improve faster. Number 5. Lean leaders must embrace problems and make them visible. It is normal to avoid problems or work around them completely. However, workarounds are a huge source of waste. Instead, lean leaders need to create an environment in which it is perfectly acceptable and normal for team members to identify problems, to bring them to the surface. It is the leader's job to coach them rather than solve the problem for them. Number 6. Lean leaders must be teachers rather than bosses. The ideal state in a lean organization is for each leader to be a mentor or coach to their team members down the chain. Because we want to create an army of problem solvers in the organization, leaders must be able to teach their team members how to solve problems. They shouldn't be solving problems for them. To do this, they should use humble inquiry. Asking questions that encourage the right kind of thinking and allowing people to experiment and learn is key. Number 7. Lean leaders must ask why, instead of who. When something goes wrong, a traditional leader tends to ask, "Who did this?" Once we know who did it, we can take corrective action. Maybe retrain or discipline them. However, the right question to ask is, why did this happen? The goal is to find out the root cause and then use countermeasures to eliminate it. Deming said that 95% of variation in the performance of a system is caused by the system itself, only 5% is caused by the people. So, the focus should be on improving the process rather than finding people to blame. Number 8. Lean leaders must be slow to plan but quick to act. Traditional leaders and people tend to jump to conclusions. Jump immediately to a solution without considering all options, and you are setting yourself up for multiple iterations. While PDCA typically has iterations, we need to spend much more time in the planning phase, defining the problem correctly, carefully observing and collecting relevant facts and data to determine the cause, before getting into countermeasures or solutions. After you've done that correctly, you can implement countermeasures confidently and rapidly. Number 9. Lean leaders need to deeply understand the process rather than just look at the numbers. Management purely by the numbers doesn't typically work in the real world. Numbers can be manipulated, and they often don't tell the whole story. They also don't connect leaders to their team members. It's very important for leaders to understand the process at the Gemba, where the work happens. Even if everyone on the team is working remotely, this can be done by connecting with your team and understanding the work. Again, humble inquiry is key. Number 10. Lean leaders must understand that people are an organization's greatest asset. Traditional thinking views people as expenses or liabilities. How many heads do we need to cut to make the numbers? However, respect for people means that we understand that our team members are the most important asset we have. We need to educate them, coach them, and make them the centerpiece of continuous improvement. That involves building trust. When we have an environment of trust, there are no limits on the amount of improvement we'll have. So, what does your organization look like today? Go through these 10 points and examine your organization and even yourself. Are there any opportunities to improve?